So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Visionary Dawn podcast. I'm your host, Huber, and today I'm bringing on my good friend and fellow graphic designer, Christopher Conde.
Yeah, it's actually Conde.
Or Conde, my bad.
You
Conde.
you bastard.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, my bad. Yes, but yes, today I'm bringing my good friend on here with me. And I wanted to ask you a couple questions about your whole graphic design career that you've taken off with ever since a few years ago. Because I've seen you like start your early days of your work, and now you moved on to some really cool stuff. So I want to ask, like, how did you get started? Like, I guess going to school, or all that. How you get started as a graphic designer?
Oh, well. Do you want the short story or do you want the long story, Nick?
Give me the long one.
Do you remember a game called Colossal Kaiju Combat?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. So this is if you were my therapist, this is where I'd start. Uh, this is where all the oh my fucking god. So yeah, for those that don't know, Colossal Kaiju Combat was a Kickstarter game um, led by the lead combat developer for Godzilla Save the Earth and Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, Melee, and Godzilla Unleashed. It was supposed to be a spiritual successor to those games, but using original characters from its community and eventually licensing out properties and like Godzilla and Ultraman and joining them in the game. So basically, what I'm getting at is this was that whole community was probably the first thing that inspired me to do art or try digital art. So this was way back in 2011. I was 11 years old. I had never used Photoshop or any digital tools really before. Um, so, and they were opening up submissions to make your own kaiju that would be voted into the game and into their trading card game. So back then, I just started, like with the most dog shit drawings ever. Like one of my first monsters I made for that was this illustration I made in Paint.net, um, and his name was Bubbles. He was a
Bubbles.
he was a goldfish in a giant mech suit, and he had the intelligence of like a regular goldfish. He was just like very like basically the whole idea was like every goldfish secretly like wants to like rule the world. So he's just you know doing what he like, yeah, I didn't put much thought into it. I was like fucking like 12 years old. But point being is people really liked that monster back then, and he actually did end up almost getting into the game up until it was canceled. So that was for me the first time I realized in my life that like I have actual creativity and that like people like the work I bring into the world. So when it came time to high school, which would be probably about yeah like 4 years later, um, I decided to go to a vocational high school, and one of their vocations was graphic design, and I chose graphic design because I thought it would be easy. Um, it was for me because I up until then I had just like fucking as soon as I got into that class, I pirated Photoshop at home, and when I got home, all I would do was just practice Photoshop every day, every night, and because of that, I found that class to be really easy because um, I wasn't restricted to just using the software in class. I had a quote unquote license at home.
I lost a quote unquote license.
So, another thing that inspired me, like, and specific people that I attribute to like this area of my life, I guess, is when I was a kid, I met Matt Frank when I was 12 years old at G Fest. I met Larry Quatch. I think I met him when I was 14 or 13, and I was just like, fuck, like I wish I could fucking draw. Like I wish I could fucking design like this. I wish I could. And back then, I thought art was like this. What do you call it? Like this ancestral like talent. I thought like you were just either born with it or you're not. I didn't understand that it was something that anyone can do if you just really work for it. So their work inspired me, and so every day in class, every day at home, I would just fucking draw stupid lizards and Godzillas and just stuff inspired by like my favorite movies and games. And you know, back then it's not the same as an adult making content. When you're a kid, you have this childlike kind of wonder with everything, and like it's like, all right, I'm gonna draw fucking Godzilla fighting Sonic the Hedgehog, and like I would just fucking do it. I would just sit there for 6 hours and do it, like. So it's. I'm glad I did it when I did, but um, that's the gist anyway.
That's actually
That's what got me started anyway. That's the base.
yeah, it's really interesting. Like you went to a high school who had a dedicated graphic design class. Where I live, unfortunately, like my parents kind of looked for it, but we couldn't find it. We couldn't move, so I ended up going to Luray and taking just art through there. And then eventually, when I went to Radford University, then I got into graphic design. I think your Matt Frank story is interesting because I have a similar story myself with how I met him. So it was 2010, and they had G Fest at the big convention center that's the DoubleTree connects to. It's the big round one. You might have passed by it when you crossed the street and stuff if you've been like around Chicago. Or I mean Rosemont. We've been around Rosemont. It's that big circular one. So they held it there, and the artist alley was in the back hallway of that building. And there was a young guy working on some Godzilla Neo sketches. He had 10 Godzilla Neo prints, and then he had a big wall print of like Space Godzilla and a Godzilla with like a hydrogen bomb in the background. And I talked to the guy and said like, "Oh hi, my name is Matt Frank," and that's how I met Matt. I was 13 at the time when I first met him. It was also my first year I met Kira Takarada. But I had a very similar thing because Matt got me into learning how to do digital shading and digital coloring for my Godzilla art. Because at the time I did a sketchbook, it was just all pen and ink. That was all I did. Um, I actually still have the sketchbook because I went around and I got everybody to sign the inside cover of it, like just to like add their little thing to it. So I had Ray's, Matt's, I think Bob's is in there. But yeah, like I had a similar experience with how I first met Matt and then got inspired from there. Larry, I never unfortunately got to meet in person yet, but I've talked to him briefly online. He's a really cool guy. I love his art. I remember the first piece that really pulled me in was his Gigan piece he did. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
organic Gigan. I don't know if you remember that one. It was a long time ago.
Larry's always been a huge support and inspiration for me. I mean, when before COVID, when I was kind of like lost and confused about like my career and what I should do, he offered me to stay over his place for a week just for free, and then just so I could go be out in LA and go visit all the colleges and schools in the area.
Mhm.
So I'll always appreciate that. and he also helped me out when I when I first moved out to LA. I didn't I wasn't like quite allowed in my house yet, so he let me crash at his place for a couple nights. So that was very nice of him. He's a super talented guy. He he led me to a lot of great connections and people. So he's actually moving to Japan real soon too.
Oh, he's actually going to
The,
Japan. Nice.
yeah, he's working at I think he's working for Universal now. He's worked on like quite a few projects for like Riot and worked on some other things like the second SpongeBob movie I think he worked on. So no, he's fucking crazy, and he's also like one of the biggest like Godzilla fans I know. If you see his collection, he has like this like a fucking like shrine, huge wall of just Godzilla crap.
Uh,
So no, he's a cool ass guy.
yeah, that's awesome. And you're currently living in LA right now?
No. No. No, I'm back in Massachusetts. Unfortunately, I tried to move down there a few times. The first time COVID happened. Second time we had a crazy landlord. I was sleeping on a bench for a couple nights. And then I was like, fuck this, and I came back. So yes, it's been every attempt I've had to move to LA has not ended very well. But maybe one day about all the good jobs are in LA, but the thing is now is that it's completely normalized to work from home. So I've had no trouble, or for the most part, have had not as much trouble as you'd think finding work from Massachusetts in those areas. And if you're like me and you work in the video game industry, a lot of those jobs are in like Seattle and California and New York. So just gotta look. A lot more places are a lot more tech jobs, a lot more graphic design jobs. More often than not, they're fucking online now. So sick. I can just work from my basement, my mom's basement.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I was actually going to ask. This is actually a really good question because I think, like, well, when I was in college, they kind of gave an kind of answer to this one, which
Yeah.
was, oh, when I'm assuming like you've, like done online work a few times. So, when you submitted your application over for like doing online work for graphic design, what did you send over exactly? Like some when I was in college, they told us like sometimes send like cover letter, then your resume, and then your portfolio. Some people just send the portfolio over and they get the job. So I was curious, like what do you think is uh the most successful way to like make an impression, I guess.
Uh. Well. So I'm trying to think of. So I think early last year. I don't even remember how the fuck time's so weird now, but when I worked on Apex Legends, it was for a small studio that uh, EA contracts. So they just opened up app applications, and I sent them a PDF book of all my relevant stuff. And looking back, it was pretty bad fucking portfolio. Like I have no idea what the hell I was thinking. Especially because the job had like I was putting in like 3D shit for like a UI job. Like what the fuck was I thinking? But I got the job anyway. But I also did happen to know the person hiring me, so that might have helped. Because we had mutual connections, and I've also met the people that own the company before. So that's one thing. But when I got the job for Amazon Games, I changed my approach a bit, and I bought my own domain. And I think I used Adobe Portfolio, and I just this time I only threw in like all the most relevant stuff, just a few graphic design things, and then a bunch of UI projects that I've done for both like Apex, my past work, and all that, and then threw it on a nice, neat little website. But you can also just do the same thing on ArtStation. I just was extra and like got my own domain, so I could hide some of the Apex stuff behind a password. Um, and that's what it looked. I guess it's like a mix of good portfolio, and my resume probably looked kind of nice too at that point. But definitely portfolio is more important, and I guess I wish I could look at it from like a recruiter standpoint, but um, uh, I don't know. I just kind of went with like my gut feeling of what my best work looks like. I asked some of my friends what they think my best work is, and I just experiment. Sometimes for certain applications, I'll change up my resume and my portfolio, and if something doesn't work and I don't get any hits, I'll change my portfolio around again, or maybe I have to go back to the drawing board and I have to make a new project just to fit in this gap that's in my resume. Um, so that's for the most part my advice. I mean, the Amazon job in particular, I probably would not have gotten it if I hadn't gone out my way and done like a big non-client project just for myself. I took the game Team Fortress
Mhm.
and I redid the entire menu UI just for like no fucking reason, just for myself, and I put it in there, and they ended up really liking it, and I think that along with the Apex stuff is what overall got me the gig.
Yeah. And when you made the menu UIs, do you do all that in Photoshop or do you use a combination of Dreamweaver for that?
Well, so there's no like one correct answer for that. Me personally, uh, I did everything in Figma. Um, Even like most of the vectors, there's like a few assets that I did in Photoshop and imported in. Like I did some character renders for the UI. I did those in Blender, did a paint over in Photoshop, and then I imported them in the Figma. But I was speaking to my senior UI artist, and he was like, "I don't even know how the fuck you do this all in Figma. Like, what's like, like you're a sociopath. Like, I do everything in Illustrator or what's that UI Adobe fucking whatever."
I think something like that.
Yeah, some shit like that. And I'm like, yeah, well, I really like Figma because you just I don't know. I guess there is a learning curve to Figma, but I personally like doing most of the work in Figma just because it's fun. So
Oh, different strokes for different folks.
yeah.
That's like a friend I know who does all their work in Krita, and I look at them like they're crazy. I was like, "You did all that in Krita?" I was like, "Yes." It's like, wow, all right. Like,
If it works, it isn't stupid.
right,
That's
right.
my motto.
Like
So
I didn't like Krita's interface. I was too used to Photoshop from college, so when I jumped into that, I was like, so I just was like, nah, I don't like this. I'm going back to my authentic copy of Photoshop, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
But so that's what I ended up doing. And but
Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of people sometimes I've met a couple artists who do that kind of thing. Like like you do Figma. He does Krita. I know another artist who lives over in Japan. It does Paint Tool Sai.
Yeah. I
Bill does Paint
mean,
Tool Sai.
dude, so many people use. I mean, probably not for UI, but or even graphic design in general. But if you're doing illustration, like doesn't matter what the fuck you use. I've had teachers that are some of the best artists in the industry, and they're like, yeah, I use fucking Procreate, or they'll use Blender, and those things aren't necessarily like the best in like the game, you know what I mean? But that's just what they like, and it works. And if it works, it isn't stupid. So
Yeah.
there
Well,
you go.
I was referring to my friend using Krita. He actually used it to make a UI, and then he dumped it into some other thing.
Oh yeah, then I mean, shit. If that's what your workflow is like, then
Yeah,
then it works.
yeah. He works on games over in Thailand. It's
Oh
weird.
yeah, dude, they're a fucking powerhouse when it comes to this industry. Yeah, I think there's like a big market in there if you're looking for work.
Yeah. Speaking of Blender, so now you mentioned it. So my background behind me, you did all this as a mix of like Blender and
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how I did that. So I did this whole thing was an experiment. So when I did this was back when this was like a year ago. I don't know if you remember, but AR art back then fucking sucked back then. So I remember it started because I used AI to just find like a landscape, and I found one that was like kind of interesting, and it was like this moon rocky place, and it had like these nice like dark gray and blues in it, and I just thought it looked interesting, so I wanted to make something that kind of based off that. So I didn't end up really using any of that AI image in the final piece, but I recreated my own interpretation of that AI image, but with photo bash and painting and all that. I don't know if I ever mentioned that. Maybe I did in the ArtStation thing, but it was an experiment. And back then I would have, defended AI. But nowadays AI is so fucking good. It's like it's kind of scary.
yeah, yeah, it is.
uh,
I think the other
uh,
problem with the AI thing is like I think you've noticed is like they're starting to feed data from artists stuff,
yeah.
so it
Well,
kind of
it's yeah.
mimics like their art style.
Yeah, back then it was like you'd generate something and like, yeah, you'd get something that vaguely looks like something, and you could kind of take some inspiration out of it. I think maybe the only I maybe use like part of the rocks or something from the original image, and other than that, it's everything else is just like hand done. I think I maybe went a little too hard on the photo bashing on this. As you can see, the rocket's a photo. If I redid this today, I would have just painted it. It's such a simple fucking shape. I don't really know why I didn't. If I was remaking this today, I would probably add more detail to that little space station. I was just kind of adding random shapes to it and shit. I probably would have made the Godzilla more my own. The Godzilla and the Ghidorah were 3D renders that I did paint over of. The Ghidorah more so. The Ghidorah basically looks nothing like it did in the render. The Godzilla, I painted over, but I don't know. I think it was an interesting experiment, but I'm not. I think there's a lot of things I change about this. It was my first time doing what do you call it? This was supposed to be like a like concept art for like a movie still. You know what I mean? So yeah, a lot of photo bashing, a lot of painting, a lot of 3D, a lot of like that moon in the background's a photo. The rocks are all photos. Um, it was cool. I don't know if I'll revisit the exact same style again. I'll probably do something more painterly next time, but that's
I was
that's the gist.
it's just learning progress. I was wondering if you did these the same way as you did the '98 Godzilla piece, because
Oh yeah.
like that was a really good one too. Did you make like the model kind of first and then paint over for that one, or
Yeah, I just looked at either I'll borrow someone else. If I borrow someone else's model, I usually credit them. Or I'll just do a block out myself, and then from there I look at a reference and I just plop in a bunch of like photos from like an iguana or some shit, and then paint over it. So the Zilla I did was like all iguana and crocodile photos. I think this Godzilla that you're seeing here is, I think the neck was a fish, and like everything else was like a crocodile. I think the Ghidorah was made up of snakes. The Godzilla 2014 I did was made up of sharks and crocodile skin and shit like that. So yeah, wherever looks right to me in an image. If I remember I was looking at the legs and I really wanted like this specific look for the wrinkles. So I was looking at turtles and shit and piecing until I found something that looked right. So it's super fun. I don't know if you've ever done Photoshop bashing before, but it's like pretty fucking fun.
I did something kind of similar in college. We had to make a mythical creature card as a project, and one of the things I did was I made the model in ZBrush, and then I took real textures and started digitally painting over top of the model that I made. It was a weird mix of so the head I designed myself is just a unique thing. It was a mix between a nautilus and a piranha head, and then the body was like a manta ray mixed with something like a jellyfish for the tail. I had to find the image again, but the textures I did something similar with like you did with Godzilla. I took like shark skin, crocodile for the back, and then I took what was it? I think it was like pufferfish quills for the tail, just to like make it unique. So I took like the texture you would see for the quills, and I went like and layered it with like multiply and then all these other cutting tools to make it like look organic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't know. It's kind of a double-edged sword because photo bashing's fun, but I don't know, sometimes it feels lazy, even though it really isn't. It feels lazy.
Yeah,
I don't like relying too hard on things other people made. You know what I mean? Because most of the time it's not your photography. I have like my own bank of photos that I took myself, but usually I just buy like a huge pack of photos I license, and then I'll just pick out of those. Like everything in this image is all photos I bought, or it's from like Pexels or some shit. But it might be a little bit too. I think you're holding yourself back a little bit if you only use photos. I think it's very much worth learning how to render out all these details yourself, which I haven't quite done yet. So, yeah. So it's a good experiment. I think everyone should try it. It's especially worth it if you're working in the concept art industry and you need to get something done fast. But for your own artistic skills, I would try expanding your horizon and learning how to do it first before you take the shortcut. You know what I mean?
yeah, 100%. I think it's definitely a good tip for the audience, definitely for all you guys and ladies and gentlemen who want to be graphic designers or artists, digital artists out there. Another good question I was going to ask is with your Ultraman project.
Oh
So,
god. Oh man, I got a lot to say about this.
He was dreading it. He's like, oh god.
I knew it was gonna come to this, but I don't mind it. I'm just saying this is gonna be a whole.
Okay, I had to bring it up because it's so interesting that you got in with Ultraman. I mean that's awesome, dude.
It was. So yeah, I mean the ultimate. Okay, so the ultimate stuff was cool. I guess you want to know how it came about?
Yeah.
I, you know, so there was this company called Elevated Games, spearheaded by a very talented businessman named Jaron Hines. I still consider him my friend. He's a good guy, but like everyone else, he's got his flaws. So Jaron had this new startup called Elevated. And he managed to somehow get the fucking Ultraman license, like on his first go. So one day I'm in LA and I get this fucking email by Jaron Hines, and he just says, "Do you have anytime I need a logo for an Ultraman game. And I was like, who the fuck is this? And I thought it was just some kid in some fan game because I couldn't find any information on this fucking company or anything. You know what I mean? So, but I bit the bullet and I asked him, okay, so what is it for? And he gave me a call and gave me the rundown, and I was like, holy shit, this is like an actual licensed Ultraman game. So, you know, I mean, I did it. I did the logo for him in a week, and you know, just from there, it's fucking just history. Like he kept asking me for more work, and you know, I helped him out and super eye on these other license things. Like Elevated was doing. There was like these official like iPhone stickers and stuff I helped out on. Shit, I'm struggling to even remember what the hell else I did, but I'll skip all the boring stuff, right? So it's about a month or a year. Me and Elevated formed this kind of relationship, and I start forming a relationship with Subaraya and the licensing group, which is spearheaded by Danny Simon. Danny Simon is the producer of like the fucking Mortal Kombat movies. He's like the producer of like a whole bunch. He's a fucking legend. Danny Simon is basically in charge of Ultraman currently, or he was at the time. He might still be. Um, so anyway, um, time goes by, and people are asking like, "Where's this fucking game?" So there's already a few controversies with the game so far, right? So first off was this game had a wildly different art style from any Ultraman media ever. Um, However, like Subaraya approved all these designs for these characters. They more in proportion were reminiscent of like something from like The Incredibles, and you know, some people liked it, most people hated it. um, but that was like small beans to compare to what happened, right? So, you know, it's been over a year. This game hasn't come out, but uh, you know, a good amount of work has been done on this game. You know, either by me or some other developer in the background. It was originally going to be a chess game. It got announced as like a chess game. It was going to be like Dota Underlords.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting a bit. I'm like struggling to even remember what the fuck happened, but basically somewhere down the line for some reason it got changed to like a fighting game like Street Fighter.
Huh.
So everything had to be redone from that point on to be turned into a fucking yeah. um
That's a big leap going from a
yeah. No, dude, the whole game had to be fucking remade. So
like they had to overhaul the whole thing. It sounds like.
yeah. So while that game gets paused, Elevated keeps working on these other projects, right? And not only was it distracting, it also kind of peeved a lot of the people that were following and hoping for more information on Kaiju Combat. Oh, which is the name of the game, by the way. No relation to Colossal Kaiju Combat, by the way. It was just another game called Kaiju Combat. I should have mentioned that first. Holy shit. But anyway, so um, I say second controversy, right? Elevated and Subaraya, along with this company called Zinvio, announces a new line of watches. branded off Ultraman, right? So I wish I had one on me to show you, but they are crazy cool. They're fucking sick. They are these cool red, black, and blue watches. Um, they have a blue spacium beam um, under the glass that glows in the dark. Um, the watch itself doesn't need to be charged. It recharges as you walk.
What? Like movement charges it.
Yeah,
That is so cool.
yeah.
That's great.
Um, the watch was $500.
I mean, yeah. Still though, that's awesome. You know,
Right.
that's really cool. You know.
So I don't even I'm not even personally sure what happened. I don't know if the ones that got purchased got sent out or if everyone got refunded or what, but I don't know if those ever got sent out.
Hmm.
But I helped with the packaging and stuff, but I never saw anything from that ever again. So that was one thing. I remember people were very confused about why the fuck we were selling watches.
It's like
Um,
that's your
yeah,
game company. You're not saying
yeah.
what you're doing. Anyway,
So,
yeah.
and I don't remember if this was my doing, but I remember I suggested that. So, well, let me backtrack a little bit. So, this was the first time I heard this dirty word. So the watch was actually had a chip in it, and that
Uh,
chip was connected to the blockchain. So the watch, not only was it a physical product, but it was also an NFT. Um, so, and that NFT had a digital collectible that was a poster drawn by Matt Frank,
uh-huh.
our buddy from earlier,
Yes.
who, by the way, also did not know what an NFT was, but he did agree. But
Yeah.
we both worked on this poster together, me and Matt. I actually helped him color it. So that happened, and also I managed to convince Elevated to convince Subaraya to approve this idea to bring back Ultra 7 Dark, who is a character from Ultraman Ginga, and to put him in the game. However, he was made an exclusive to if you bought the NFT watch thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, the way I was explained to it, and I think this does make sense, is so you have to remember this is like the first time I didn't even know what an NFT is. And even now, I'm not like a professional on this stuff. I do know in layman's terms that it's connected to the blockchain. It's like crypto, and each token is like unique, so you can't like copy it or like really fake it. So I think the idea is each watch has this NFT, right? And then when you want to resell it, you resell the token with it, and the token is basically like a proof of authenticity, but that proof of authenticity is digital. Um, that's how it was explained to me. It made sense to me at the time. Maybe there's some truth to that, maybe whatever. But no one knew what the fuck that meant. And as you know, NFTs aren't exactly looked in a positive light. Even back then, when they first blew out, the main concern was environmentalism. Just an undeniable fact is most NFTs, most if not like a majority of them, are used by bad actors, right?
Mm.
So a lot of them are scams. A lot of them use stolen artwork. A lot of them are fraud, money laundering. Just every bad thing you can name. Like the NFTs got fucking tied along with. So Didn't look good. Not a good look. um, with that being said, this watch actually came out before all that stuff really blew up. So back then it was less anger, more what the fuck is an NFT? So that was our second controversy. Third controversy. Um, oh no. Subraya approached Elevated, including me, into asking if we could help run their first online event. This was at the peak of COVID. They wanted to do something special for the fans since no one was leaving the house, and they wanted to reach their audience in America. So they asked us to host a live stream. I did not have much input or control in this situation. Uh, they just kind of asked me for like assets and things like that. Um, so I was kind of left in the dark. I do know that like about a lot of the content that was getting gathered. A lot of it was pre-recorded. Some of it was going to be uh, live on the spot. So event rolls around. I find out there's like we didn't hire any like or not we but Elevated didn't hire anyone to like specifically live stream the event. They were just kind of doing it themselves, and the event was the time comes and the event's not on. So turns out no one knows how to use OBS. So an hour after the event started, I managed to pull up some Shout Factory clips and play those to stall the crowd. And then eventually on the other end, they finally got the live stream working. However, on the caveat that none of the live events were on anymore. So all the live events got canceled in favor of only playing the pre-recorded stuff. So it, like I said, none of it, I wasn't involved in any of this, but I would be lying to you if I told you that I wasn't still kind of embarrassed by association. This was the first Ultraman event in America, basically, and we fucked it up. It got fucked up. And it sucks too. I know, like, people were like memeing it and like making fun of everyone at Elevated for it, and shit like that happens. We're not the first people to fuck up a live stream like that, but I felt like Elevated really let down all the Ultraman fans that were waiting on that day, and Super Aya too, because the next day they didn't ask Elevated to do it again. Next year, Elevated, no, not Elevated, Super Aya. I forgot what company does it now, but they have another company running the Ultraman Day events now. Although, fun fact, I think they still use, or they still use my Ultraman Day logo I made them. So that's funny.
I used to sneak through the cracks.
yeah, I got in there a little bit. I will say though, one thing I commend Elevated for versus these new Ultraman Day events is, for some reason, they insist on doing these like $20 tickets to watch like a recorded event, which, in my opinion, I don't really. There's a few things wrong with that, in my opinion. I do like how Elevated had this free event on Twitch. Everyone can tune in, and it basically served as like a big advertisement for all the nice things that come. So. What was that? Controversy number 3?
Controversy number 3, yes.
Okay. It's controversy number 4, the big one. Right. So.
There's a 4th?
Dude, you gotta brush up on your kaiju combat lore.
I know. That's why I'm doing this, because I'm learning as we go.
So, behind the scenes, Elevated really believes in this NFT stuff. This was right when it was really blowing up now. Um, from what I understand, I think the plan was always for Elevated to be like a blockchain type company. But, you know, at this point, people are finally catching wind of NFTs and also how people are utilizing them. So Elevated announces this NFT project, and it was just like a kind of like Bored Apes, some shit like Ultraman and some shit like you get like you buy like a pack and you get like an Ultraman and then there's like randomized things. So they post that on the Elevated or Kaiju Combat Twitter, and people got fucking pissed. People were fucking pissed, and people were hitting up my phone, like I had any fucking control over it, right? I was basically just a contractor. I was basically just helping them out with certain things. And my memory is blurry here, and I also don't remember if there's any information here I'm like allowed to say. But I'll stick to like what's like objectively public information. So I do remember that I think there was some silence, and then it got rebooted again. And then this time people were even more pissed. And people started going through the website. They found my name. They were posting pictures of my face on Twitter, like calling me like a P word, calling me like a, I think, like, yeah, just like kind of like assuming things about me. And I just do graphics, bro. I just like Ultraman. Ultraman's like one of my favorite characters. I don't know what any of this NFT bullshit means. But my name's on the Elevated site as part of their team, so yeah. And
They're looking for a target to get their anger out.
yeah, and I tried to I did something I shouldn't have done. I went into the trenches of Twitter and I responded to people. I was trying to. I know, dude, and I think if you go on the Ultraman wiki, or whatever, you can like they literally like put my messages on there. So I don't think I said anything wrong or anything, but I wasn't making anything look any better. I'll say that. So after that, all of a sudden, I go fucking. I'm like, I'm sick of this bullshit. Like this isn't even like a project I necessarily like made a lot of money on in the first place.
Yeah.
For me, I could make way more money any other contract job, but I love Ultraman, so I did it, and I also wanted to help Ultraman, get to the States. So I had nothing to do with fucking like decision making on NFTs or fucking the game or any of this shit. So that happened. And then I wake up and Subaraya posts I don't want to say a cease and desist because that would have to be like a formal letter. Or it's more like a notice on their website that the NFTs by Elevated were unauthorized or something, and then like I think they even said that like all the Elevated projects are terminated. And I was like, what the fuck happened, right? And I heard some things he said, she said, and I'm not gonna choose a side because to be honest with you, this was like well over a year or two ago, and I just don't give a shit. I am the graphics guy, bro. I will always be the graphics guy. I do think Elevated kind of did me dirty. I kind of got roped into this more than I should have been. Uh, like I said, I do graphics. I'm a graphics guy. I'm an artist. I don't do any of these dealings. I'm
Right.
not involved in any of the deals. I'm not involved in the NFTs. Back then I barely even knew what an NFT was.
Right.
Matt didn't either. I got Matt Frank roped into this shit too because he helped us out with the poster and um, you know, and I got him on the project because he believed in it and we were both huge Ultraman fans and I wanted to support one of my favorite artists. So that happened. And it sucks. I got some very interesting messages in my DMs and by some angry Ultraman fans and yeah. that's that's
I mean,
basically what happened.
yeah. Well, I mean, still, like you're the graphic designer. Like you said, like you're not the guy dealing with the dealings and
Yeah,
stuff. But I just
yeah,
yeah, I think it was just I do think it's kind of sucks that they kind of tried to rope you into all that, which is dumb because like I mean
yeah.
you're like the designer, right? It's
Well,
like
bro, I'm not alive forever. I don't have any resentment towarze anyone. Not even
right.
I don't know who was in the wrong. Was it Elevated? Was it Subaraya? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't care anymore. I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
So
I just think it's just silly that they tried to do that. But
I do think I think it's probably one of the most embarrassing moments of my career.
mm,
But everyone's got their story. You know what I mean? I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
yeah,
um,
I
and I
got
think
one
I
too.
think some good things will come from it. I mean, even Matt Frank, if he didn't, if none of this kaiju combat shit happened, he would not have been working with Marvel, or at least that's what he told me.
Mm,
Um, the kaiju combat stuff actually got him a good fucking contacts at Marvel, and now he does some of the artwork for the official Ultraman comics for Marvel. So you know, um, he's fucking doing good, dude. And then as for me, that experience was very valuable for me. As much as it hurt, it was. I'm proud of the work I did for them, and I think that experience was very valuable. So I'll take what I learned and go with it. And since then I've had a lot of better gigs that didn't have anything to do with NFTs after that. So uh,
yeah.
it's all good. It's all good. So
Yeah, like it's a learning experience, right? Like I
yeah.
have my own share of a embarrassing story of company I worked for, but I will share that another time with you. It's actually kind of funny, like what happened. But anyway, what so I was going to mention though, we're talking about the NFTs. Do you remember Crypto Land? Do you remember that
Oh
shit?
my god, the fucking coin, and then
The coin,
all,
yeah,
all I remember about the coin is they said on Twitter that there's someone on Twitter said there was no age of consent on crypto land. So that was enough for me to be like,
yeah,
but crypto's so weird because, and the thing with NFTs is, I think on paper it's maybe not a bad idea, right? So I grew up playing like Team Fortress and what's Counter Strike, and their econ system and trading system in a way is basically NFTs. Like they're these digital collectibles, right?
all right,
So difference between that and NFTs is NFTs tied to a blockchain. So theoretically speaking, you can't like do something or clone it or you know. However, it leaves the door open way more for things like scams, anonymous like dealings, and because of that, you get shit like crypto land where people promise you the fucking this private island if you buy into their bullshit early, but really they're just gonna take your money and run because no one knows who the fuck even runs this project.
right.
So
That's like what happened with like
is
Connect, if you remember
you know
them.
is that what was gonna happen with Kaiju Combat? I don't think so. Everyone on the team, their full name was on the website. Like everyone knows who I am, right? Everyone knows who the CEO of Elevated is. They know his name. They know his social media. But you know, would have worked out is this. A lot of people, when that first happened, people were like they genuinely believed in crypto. You know, will it be a thing? You know, maybe in the future, maybe someone can make it work, right? But I don't think NFTs are the way, because it's just not a stable environment. It's not like a stable use of technology. I don't think it's gonna work out. But you
Yeah.
know,
No,
look,
I agree.
they're visionaries in that regard. I respect it, but it wasn't gonna work, bro. It wasn't gonna work, bro. And especially risking that on like a licensed property first, it was just no way, bro. Um, but you got to remember, every company back then was trying it. It wasn't just Elevated. Fucking how many NFT projects did the Godzilla license do? Even after this, Subaru went ahead and did Ultraman NFTs.
Yeah.
They did multiple NFT projects after this. So, you know, I don't know if they did it because people were pissed or they did it because Elevated genuinely voided a contract. I have no idea, and I'm not gonna speculate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the whole thing's just unfortunate. But I clean my hands out of any wrongdoing. I'm just the designer. So I didn't do shit, guys.
Yeah.
But
You're the guy who just was understandably leaving the building as the building was catching fire, and they're looking
yeah,
around like, "Who did it?" It's like, dude, I was just a guy like working here.
yeah, bro. Like dude, look. A year ago, I was in California. I was sleeping alone on a park bench. Like, I work, I do what I love, and I have to make money doing it. You
Yeah.
know, I've never made any. I was just doing my job, graphic design. So,
Do you
you know,
do any freelance work? Like
uh,
any more like aside from company stuff?
not often, not
Uh,
often. I don't really like doing freelance work. I just like getting told what to do, and I do it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I'm sure I could open up the freelance if I wanted to, but it's just so. It would have to be a project I really care for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, after the Elevated Games stuff, after the Ultraman stuff, I worked on Apex Legends for a few months, and then I worked on Amazon Games on their project I can't talk about. But seems like that ship's sailing too. But they might hire me again. We'll see what happens.
You never know. They
Um,
might come back.
well, they had to do a layoff, right? Because it's the way the economy is right now. But they told me they might bring me on another team. So, we'll see what happens. But I won't speak too much of it because I already know this part of the podcast is gonna not age well. They incredibly don't hire me again. But I'll say what my doctor tells me and my therapist tells me. Everything will be fine. Everything will work out.
Everything will
So,
work out.
and I do believe that. I think everything has a way of, or at least so far in my life, just working out somehow. You know, like
Yeah.
I said, the elevated stuff was probably one of, if not the most embarrassing fucking moment of my life. But you know what? Like, I never look back at that time with any sense of regret, and I think um I took the positives out of that situation, and I just everything worked out. I got a nice job, and you know I think things will be fine. I think one day they'll let me touch the Ultraman again. You know what I mean? Maybe one day they'll let me touch Godzilla.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a good stepping stone,
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Oh, I almost forgot. This is a really good one because I wanted to ask you this last time we met at G Fest, but it slipped past me because of the tournament and everything was going on. I'm sure you remember I was helping run the tournament with Michael McCants and the other guys for Save the Earth last year. So, do you remember the Nessie plushie that you worked on?
Oh my fucking god. Oh my god.
Okay, he's leaving. Come back. Wait, you're actually getting it. You're actually getting it. Okay, cool. I thought you were leaving for a minute. It's like, oh no, I lost him.
Oh, no, the Nessie is. I mean, you can see him. I know the listeners can't see him, but
Oh
it
no, I can see
is
him.
the only one that exists. Only one.
It's only one.
Yeah.
So was it a Kickstarter thing or?
Yeah, so, I was 18. I was fresh out of high school, and I had sketched this drawing for my significant other at the time. And I happened to really like how he looked, and I thought, let's make a plush out of him. And I ordered I commissioned a company to make a pattern out of him, and they sent me this prototype. And from there, I decided, let's try to get these made. And it was probably my first personal business venture. As a kid, I was 18. I was basically still a kid, right?
Mhm.
And no idea what I was doing. Made a Kickstarter, and it didn't work out. But you know, like I said, I don't regret any of it. It sucks it happened, but and a little embarrassing, but you know, it happens, and I still like him. And you know what? The positive side of this is I'm the only one that has this. I'm the only one that owns him.
I
So
like how he's got like the snaggletooth on the side of his face.
yeah, yeah. No, he's cute. He's based off the original Nessie photograph, the one with the neck and the hump.
Yeah.
And it's also my favorite interpretation of Nessie, which is a plesiosaur. The only way it should be, nothing else.
It should be, yes.
So I guess he's more of just a plesiosaur thing. The next one was gonna be Mothman, and then I was gonna make a Bigfoot. And yeah, it happens, but I still am quite proud of him. So
Well, what I actually think is interesting is he kind of reminds me of the Crater Lake monster a little bit, like the green guy.
yeah, let me let me look him up. It's been a
Yeah.
while since I it's been a while since I've done all this research. Oh yeah, Crater Lake. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking love the Crater Lake monster. I have actually not seen this movie. I need to watch this in Valley of Gwangi like real soon, because yeah, I think I've seen. I think your buddy, Joseph Hamilton, made a figure of him or something.
Yeah, that's right. He did. He
Yeah,
made
yeah,
a
yeah,
9-inch figure of Crater Lake monster using his
yeah,
I3 and what was it, Sculptress.
yeah. I need to learn some fucking ZBrush or some bullshit, because it's been too long. It's been too long, and I haven't. I watched Dope Pope in front of me. I've known Dope Pope for over 10 years now. I watched him in his beginnings learning ZBrush, and now he's doing fucking MonsterVerse designs for Legendary. Like
Yeah.
shit. If I learned alongside with him, I'd be right there up there. But no, I didn't. So
And he's doing figures for X Plus too.
yeah, no, he designed the X Plus Orga
Yeah. And Iris too, I heard.
and Iris. Yeah, he did. Yeah, it's insane. And yeah, I wish I spoke to him more often. But things happen. This is how friends are. He was
Yeah.
more of a colleague, I guess. I known him back in the Colossal Kaiju Combat days, not to be confused with Ultraman Kaiju Combat, but you know what I mean. So
I remember when I found his username and stuff, and my friend Andreas Perez told me like he met him in person at I think it was All Monsters Attack, like he had a table there.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm Dope Pope. And he's like, you're Dope Pope? And, we had a joke. It was like, dude, maybe you should like take your username to the full extent and wear like a Dorito Pope hat, like the meme.
Yeah, that's just been his name. I mean, same with me. Like that's been his name forever. I think I maybe asked him what the fuck it meant, and it's just kind of his name. So
every time I hear the name, first thing I think of is like the Dorito Pope meme where it's the guy's got the hat. It's like a Dorito chip and he's wearing sunglasses. He's doing this. It's the first thing I think of sometimes. Aside from just his figures, like if I was picturing him as a person, that's what I think of. Like it's just some dude like that doing these Godzilla 3D models and ZBrush.
yeah, no, he's 3D is like the fucking future, dude, and especially with AI art, it's like, guys, everyone, just do 3D art. Do 3D. We got we got a little bit more time with us before the robots take over, bro. We got just do 3D. Especially in like the kaiju community, he's fucking killer, dude. And you should really try getting one of his 3D printed works.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, like right here. Let me grab another toy.
Yeah. I was thinking about getting a Space Godzilla.
What the fuck? Where am I looking? Oh yeah, it's right down here.
Oh, Titanicus!
Titanicus, and I don't know the creators of Titanicus very well, but I will always appreciate them for supporting the Nessie project. I remember logging on the Kickstarter one day and I saw Titanic Creations donated like $30 or some bullshit, and I was like, man, I fucking love you guys. So I immediately ordered one of their figures, and there's no one really out there doing it like they do, dude. They're making Bandai-sized original characters, like mix that, and obviously you're getting Dope Pope's beautiful fucking sculpt, and just get one, guys. They're affordable. They're not like YMSFF. They're like actually affordable. You get them like $30 shipped. So yeah, beautiful toys.
Is it like a soft vinyl or is it hard vinyl?
No. Like if you hit a kid with this, they'd be knocked out cold. It's like a hard plastic. It's nice materials, but it's not like a soft vinyl.
So
I kind of wish it was, but.
So is it kind of brittle with the head?
No. It's like it's super well made. The only iffy parts are like maybe the horn. But that's more of like a design issue than like a toy manufacturing issue. There's a little bit too many spikes on him, but no, it's fine. Toy's good. So I'll probably always keep them. And mine's signed, right? Where the fuck's the signature? Unless the signature wiped off. Yeah, I guess that's gone. But it was signed by Dope Pope, so that was fun. Yeah, signature's gone.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good, bro. It's all good. But no, Dope's a good guy. I hope he comes back to GFS pretty soon because, his work is just fucking insane, dude. But I think GFS is chump change for him now. I think he's like really going up the leaderboard right now.
Speaking of GFest, you did the Artist Alley one year. I remember you had a couple of your buttons, a couple of your and actually, me and you both entered the art contest that year. You had the Godzilla '98 prints, and then mine was.
And I won.
And you won, yeah, you won.
Yeah. So I did Artist Alley 2 years, and as much as I love that show, they decided that the Artist Alley isn't what people want to see anymore. So they basically got rid of it, and I still feel like the reasoning is complete horseshit. So yeah, R.I.P. Artist Alley. Yep.
Man, things have changed so fast. Like, my
Yeah.
first year was 2010, and then my favorite year I think was somewhere between 2012 and 2013. Might have been 2013 actually, because I got to see my friend get Best in Show with Mechagodzilla. That was the year I made Titanosaurus that year.
Yeah, and I remember your costumes, dude. I still have a picture of your Zeger on my 3DS.
I got
Like,
on the 3DS. Nice.
yeah, before I even really knew you, I was like, Zegra! And I... and then, let me take a picture!
Hey,
So,
Sigma, we take a picture.
so yeah,
Yeah,
Nick.
I'm
Um,
actually bringing him back here pretty
oh,
soon.
good.
I was making some repairs on him because the head got a little beat up, but the anniversary for Godzilla Battle Royale is coming up, and they're going to be
Right.
redoing it again, hopefully. So
Oh
when
my
that
god,
happens,
dude.
I'm going to bring the
Battle
costume.
Royale is my favorite bad movie of all time. So fucking good,
Why
bro.
do you think? I mean, okay, like why do you think it's a goofy? Yes, but I mean, why do you think it's like a bad movie? Though, you know,
Dude, well,
I mean, like, hey,
bad is it's 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 an interesting watch. I'll say that. It's you got the you got the cameos, you got the suits that are all on like radically different like levels of like professionalism.
right,
You
right.
got the and then the story just makes no sense. It's so good. It's so fucking good. And when you're in like a crowd of people at G Fest watching it, it's so fucking good. Dude.
I mean, the story made the story made sense to me, but maybe that's because I was, in on the production for it and stuff. But I guess that like the reason why I was saying like, why do you think it's a bad movie is just because like, I mean, to be
Well,
fair, I mean, he did it all off his own budget, like that's
yeah, no. I have heavy respect for this movie, dude. And I always say hi to Billy every single year, and I always tell him like, dude, like I still watch like your movie every now and then. Like I think when it first premiered, I think I was still a kid. And, I'm like, hey, you know, don't take it to heart when I say it's a good bad movie because I have, I got 2 copies of it right here.
oh, you actually got the Blu-ray, nice.
Yeah, dude, I got the fucking Blu-ray and I got the fucking DVD too. Cause you know what? Cause I'm a fucking top G, and
Yeah,
this is Kino.
yeah.
So
Oh man, that
the
reminds me. I need to ask him for the Blu-ray because I only still have the DVD. And then he said, "Hey, did I ever get you the Blu-ray?" I said, no, actually, I never knew you had the Blu-rays out yet." He's like, "Oh, shoot, I need to get you that." So
yeah, so
I need to message him
the
about
Blu-ray's funny because it's the aspect ratio is like I think he fucked up the aspect ratio because it's like this stamp on the screen and it, it takes up like 1/4 of the screen in the middle.
Oh,
So you have to set up your Blu-ray player to zoom it in.
well, it's a good thing I got a PS5 then, isn't it?
Holy shit! Yeah, dude, I was fucking dying the first time I put this in. So yeah, good movie. I love this shit. It's it's so fucking good, dude. You have no idea. Yeah, G Fantas. So many things didn't age too well in this. G Fantas, first off, Robert Scott Field, who unfortunately tried to sell his energy drink pyramid scheme, the fans. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I heard about it. Well, we
Yeah.
don't have to go into that right now, but we could do that
No,
later.
he, from what I understand, he doesn't go to GFS anymore though. So yeah, it's like a, and you know, of course, Akira Takarada makes a cameo in this movie, so it's like it almost feels like, and also, you know, it's all filmed in the Crown, so I think a lot of fans will appreciate this movie. I mean, especially those that are like very familiar with G-Fest as time goes on, because if you really think about it, this is like a time capsule of a G-Fest that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Yeah. It's I think it's interesting because it was the last fan film movie that kind of was the middle mark between the effects heavy thing that we have now and then the, remember, like people took like their Tamashi figures and stuff and they'd throw it into Adobe Vegas, or not Vegas, Sony Vegas,
They
yeah,
did. I
and
mean,
effects in there because the interesting thing happened after this movie was over, and that's when they started doing everything in Source Filmmaker and stuff now for
yeah.
the models.
Well,
Like this
you
kind
have
of never happened again. It was just
you have
interesting.
to understand. Yeah, I mean, first off, the suits are, what people don't understand is the suits are time-consuming work, dude. Like it's an unfathomable amount of work. Um, and you know, could the final product been a lot better? Yeah, but like it doesn't matter. You still have to respect like the amount of effort and work that put in just to logistically like bring all these people together to make this movie. Um, so with that being said, though, there's so many tools now that exist. You know, Source Filmmaker, Blender. You know, those people that have stock assets. Um, let's see. Uh, I mean, I'm sure you heard of like the Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex movie that came out
Oh
recently.
yeah, yeah, I saw.
The the movie that preludes that was done completely in Blender, and that was like a fan film. I'm sure you remember, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
right.
then they took that and I forgot if it was for a contest or something, but they
It was for
basically,
a contest. That's right.
yeah. So they got the creator on board and they made Gigan Rex.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, dude, like it or not, Battle Royale wrote itself in the Godzilla fan history, dude. Like it's up there, dude. Billy DeBose, great guy, by the way. I respect him. He's a talented guy. So you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, we I had him on interview actually recently. He was on the episode before we were doing this one with you.
oh, don't tell him I said Battle Royale was bad.
I think he'll know what you mean though, because if this
Yes.
so
I mean, dude, it's like it's bad the same way like Godzilla versus Door is bad. You know what I mean? Like
right,
like
right.
dude, like dude, especially when you're like this is an event movie, you know, right? This is a movie you have to watch in a crowd of other G fans, right? To
Mhm.
truly understand and appreciate it, because that's really who it's made for, like us, like everyone at G Fest, you
Yeah.
know.
Or
So
I'd say like other Godzilla fans too, to an
right,
extent. Because I noticed like the
but
ones that get the worst criticism for it when it came out on YouTube and it got uploaded were people that were not really much in the community. Like they're like
yeah, no,
outside of it. So yeah.
it's, I mean, it's all fan service, dude. Like Robert Scott, like I'm sure most even seasoned Godzilla fans don't know who the fuck Robert Scott Field is, but then he like takes down a whole ass kaiju in the movie. So you know, I think he takes down Ebra or something, right?
He does. He does.
Um,
He's like, who
yeah.
wants Red Lobster
See. I remember this stuff, dude. So yeah,
tonight?
Takarada's in it.
Okay.
So yeah, dude. Great movie, Kino. On the biggest Battle Royale. I still have like flyers and handouts from Battle Royale 2 I saved all these years too.
Yeah.
So.
I actually made a figure of Billy's Godzilla costume.
Really? Wait. I need to see that.
It was
Dude.
last G Fest, I gave it to him as a gift because I
Right.
promised him, like, so it was some years ago. I told him, like, I was going to make a figure of his thing, but I didn't know how I was going to do it yet because I didn't know anything about ZBrush. This was like 2014 when I was still in high school. So anyway, I eventually figured out how to do it, and I made the whole model in ZBrush. And eventually, I need to make a Hyper Godzilla like go with it. So
Yeah. So, is there any chance Billy's gonna bring the suit back next year?
I don't know. I asked him that. He said it's kind of starting to rot. It's getting latex rot.
Okay.
So it's probably
So,
but
I think it would be cool if we did a 3D scan of it.
yeah. Well, somebody actually already did do a 3D scan of it. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. So he told me after I gave him the figure, another guy made a figure for him and they 3D scanned it, but it was, I don't know. He said it was a mixed result kind of thing. So like,
Well,
but it's not really like a 3D. I don't think he has access to the 3D model. That's the thing. So if you got a 3D scanner, I mean, you could ask him.
well, you can do that shit on your phone now, dude. But you do the scan on your phone, and well, I don't know. It depends on your workflow, I guess. I'm not like a huge 3D artist. It might be even more worth it just to do it from scratch. But yeah, I mean, you could scan it and then clean up the model in Blender and then print it as a figure. So, dude, I would love a figure of that. Back when I don't know, it's so sad to think back of. Dude, that was just a different era before COVID.
Yeah,
But or maybe I'm just getting older. But I don't know if you remember Louis Duran's Godzilla Rise for Destruction.
that
One of
rings a bell. Actually, yeah, I think
it was notorious for being one of the worst fan films ever. And the Godzilla was made of clay and shit. And it I don't know if it was just because I got used to it, but the shitty clay Godzilla almost pseudo ironically went hard as fuck. So we actually almost made Rise for Destruction figures, and we were totally gonna do it.
yeah.
Well, it just never happened. I don't remember if COVID happened or what, but I wish we still did it. That would have been funny as shit.
Just
I was gonna make tags for it and everything too. It was gonna be like a real Bandai figure.
anti clay Gumby Godzilla.
Yeah, dude. I still need to do my own toys. It'll happen one day.
Yeah, it'll happen one day. Yeah, it's like you know me right now. I'm still doing the cryptid figures, and then actually recently I had a contract thing I was doing with Andreas Perez. I made him a Draco Azul keychains inspired by the old like Gashapon figures Bandai.
Dude, how much are you selling those figures for? We're gonna do a live deal on this podcast right now.
We're gonna do a live deal right here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll sell you for like $10.
Shit. Okay, I'll tell you. Can I tell you my credit card number right now?
If I tell you my credit card, ladies and gentlemen, we got to censor this part.
Remind me later. I'll actually because I need some Nick Huber artwork in my collection. I don't know if I don't remember if I have so much artwork, but it's all in storage. I don't remember if I have any Huber. I must. But.
Yeah, I know.
So.
I think you. Well, I don't know if it's true or not. I think you might have had one of my drawings a long time ago. I don't remember. I remember I gave a drawing to somebody, and I think it was you I gave it to.
Yeah, it was very useful in the cold winter months.
Burned it.
Nick Huber art, great kindling, by the way.
Great Kindle, by the way, you bastard. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'll make sure to find some way to heat myself up using like your buttons or something. Yeah, I'll use your button pin to make a makeshift light bulb or something. I don't know.
Stick it in the electrical socket. I'm sure
Stick it in the electrical socket. Oh,
Yeah.
well, just to like wrap it up, I guess. What advice would you give to a graphic designer that wants to like get themselves started but hasn't gone to college or anything like that? Because I remember
Stop.
you recommended to me to go take those online classes you were in for Blender and stuff. What was
Yeah.
it
Stop.
called?
Stop while you're ahead is my advice. No. So my advice. Okay. Um. So let me preface this with college is awesome. College is a great experience. Um, to the lucky people that do have access to college, great for them. Um, college can be a infinitely valuable resource, I'm sure. However, for me, and the way one the economy is, and two, uh, the fact that we aren't really guaranteed things like what's it called? Like if you're like me and you're kind of middle class family, which is doesn't make enough to afford college, but makes too much to to get in these scholarships type of family, then I I just decided to that college wouldn't be worth it for me. So I got kind of lucky because, as I said earlier, I went to a vocational high school. Um, Vocational high schools are pretty cool. Not everyone has access to one of those either. So, in that case, I'm pretty privileged. Um, However, luckily, art is learning how to make art is like more accessible than it's ever been. Um, Dude, I mean, even on YouTube, you could probably get like the same education you get on a college if you put in enough like discipline into yourself. You know what I mean? With enough discipline, you could really do anything. But if you're like me, who absolutely needs a teacher, there are some alternative options that won't break your bank. So, um, I personally did took a lot of lessons at Brainstorm, which is a online school that uh, they hire some of the best artists in the country to hold lessons, and they are live um, online like Zoom meetings, and they'll create your art. They'll give you homework. The classes are like about 3 or 6 hours, and then there's like on a weekly basis. Each class can range between like $250 to 800 for the whole fucking class, right? Compare that to taking almost the same identical class in college, like no contest, dude, no contest. So if you can take college, if you're in a very privileged position, and you know, nothing wrong with that, then do college, dude. But I just didn't think I needed it. I didn't think it was worth it. I thought it would be too much of a burden on both my bank account and like, my family. So I explored some self-taught options and cheaper alternatives like online schools. Some other recommendations are what's it? Concept Art Academy, CDA. Um, uh, Shit. I'm trying to remember. I think Domestika is another good option. Um, Fuck. What's that fucking what's that website with the chameleon logo?
Oh, I used to know.
Schoolism.
Schoolism, yeah.
Schoolism is another good option. So yeah, sorry that was a little jumbled up, but I personally
Fine.
just it's you can do it, kid. You can do it. But if you have like a lot of self ambition, like don't, like, dude, just do it all yourself, bro. Like, make some artist friends, make a Discord, make a study group, get yourselves to, crit each other's work, study together, take classes together, like watch tutorials together, like discipline yourself, give yourself homework. Like, I have so many friends that do that, and they're miles better than fucking like any of these like people that are working in the industry right now. Just all self-taught. So like, dude, like nothing's impossible, bro. Nothing's impossible. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Very, very well put. Very well put, I think. And yeah, I definitely agree with the college thing because I think right now it's like, I mean, I hate to say it, like it kind of looks like now it's becoming more like a paperweight when you get out. You know what I mean? Instead of getting you actually like into the field.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, that's my advice. But also remember that like if you're something that I need to learn is that everyone's journey is different, right? It's really never too late. If you're like 25 and you're just now thinking of getting into art, like just fucking do it, dude. If you're 30 and you're just thinking about getting into art, just fucking do it. Like you don't have to be like 18 or 19 to make all these decisions now. You know what I mean? Like it's just, you know. And I think art is so important just for, not just to like personal development, but like societal, like every artist contributes so much into the world. It's really important. It's more important than you think. So
Yeah. No, very, very well put, I think. That's a good, perfect way to end the last question, I think so. As everyone, we'll be signing off here. I'm going to put some links to my friend's art station and a couple of the stuff in the description down below in the video and podcast link description. So be signing off from Visionary Dawn Podcast and have a good one.